We're joined now in the studio by the National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yabagi Sani. And at our overflow studio is legal practitioner Kalu. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Again, it looks very much like fireworks before an election season. But again, take us through, Yabagi Sani, how our democracy is going at the moment in the face of an opposition and a ruling party. What's the vibe or the reading you're getting at the moment?
Well, I think what this shows is the fact that Nigeria has come a long way in terms of practicing constitutional democracy. For instance, like this year, we're 100 years in practicing democracy through political party registration and things like that. We remember that in 1923, Herbert Macaulay registered the first political party, which was the NNDP, after the Clifford Constitution of 1922, which inherited the 1914 Constitution. So I think we have come a long way, and what is happening today is not an indication of a failing, democracy. No, it's an indication of the fact that we have matured, and we are in the process of proving that constitutional democracy is the way to go. What am I saying? I'm saying that the players in the 2023 elections, did not take laws into their hands. They believed in the law, in the rule of law. They followed the due process of the law, to logical conclusion. And still, even the PDP chairman who was, addressing the press, he was saying that he still believes in the judiciary. So that tells you that we have come a long way, and we believe that what is lacking is these institutions that are supposed to rise to the occasion. The judiciary, the umpire, the regulatory agency, and then perhaps to some extent you find some shortcomings of ourselves, the players in the political scene, on the political scene. So everybody is talking about how to ensure that these institutions, are reinforced or are made to respond to the dictates, that is the demands of the people. It's not that they have lost confidence in the system itself, because the system is made up of these key institutions. That is the judiciary, the regulatory agency, and then you have the National Assembly. Yeah. National Assembly too, has a lot to do with everything we are talking about, because the Electoral Act given to us, the 2022 Electoral Act, as amended, is one piece of legislation that's supposed to be a game changer in how we conduct elections in this country. But unfortunately, the National Assembly was not, they didn't do a good job, so to speak, because they left a lot of gaps in the letter of the law itself. For instance, transmission of results was a key thing. And that is why at IPAC, we have come up with some measures that we believe, instead of blaming INEC, blaming this, blaming that, we said, why don't we put in place an election result management system that will capture the results of the elections at the polling unit as authorized, stamped, signed, dated by INEC, officials, and our agents too, so that we now have an electronic copy which is generated by IPAC, but that's by agents at the various polling units, and then are also, processed, and then unlike the half-baked system that you have in the Electoral Act system.
Right. So let's,
Yabagi
Sani, you've explained your part, but let me just make it really direct. Is Nigeria's democracy going in the direction that it really should be going? Or is it sliding towards a one-party state like, the PDP has said?
Well, if you look at the nuances around the whole thing, you may think that it's going one-party system. No, it's not going one-party system. Do you know why I'm saying so? Labour Party I just had was refuting the story that they are going to merge, with another political party. So which means that tells you that the players you have today on the scene are people that wants to really pursue this to its logical conclusion, meaning that they want to be in the opposition. They want to ensure that they are able to change the scenario, the narratives that we have today, and they're not necessarily merging and becoming, one or a few parties, as the case may be. So I don't think that the real actors, that is the politicians themselves, will allow that to happen, because, and that's what we are challenging, the system. We are interrogating the system. We are saying that this system must work. And that's the multi-party system.
Yeah, but Sani, sorry to butt in there. I think that's a fine place. You're saying that they're interrogating the system. Let's bring in Kalu here now. Kalu, let's interrogate the system deeper now. Do you think that the players, now talking about the umpire, the political parties, and even the electorate, have a better understanding of what democracy is about?
Frankly speaking, is the umpire, not the politicians, not the electorate. What we have today, let's say the truth, is indicted national electoral criminals. That's INEC. That's what we have today in Nigeria. From 1999 to date, we've had cases of electoral malpractices.
Let me jump in here, Kalu. Let's be decorous in our language. We quite understand you can make your point without trying to malign any acronym or institution. It's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Today, that's not what they are. We must say what they are today. So Nigerians, we know what the institution they are dealing with. You cannot, after everybody, even the European Union, after the election, gave their report and indicted INEC. And after that, INEC spent billions of naira in the 2023 election. And everybody, all the institutions, all the electoral observers, local and foreign, condemned what happened in the election. And we thought with the off-season election that they were going to make an improvement. But what happened was even worse than what happened at the election, in 2023 election, general election. And you said we should not say it the way it is. When we can't say it the way it is, then they are not going to continue.
Mr. Kalu, well, you're a lawyer. You belong to the judiciary. Mr. Yabagi here has said, look, there's a role for the institution, INEC. There is, of course, a role for the legislature and, of course, the judiciary that you belong to. What role can the judiciary specifically play to ensure that if all other parties, all other stakeholders want to do the wrong thing, the judiciary insists on doing right by Nigerians? What can judiciary do to improve this democracy?
The judiciary is not even helping matters. Look at the kind of judgments that we have today. Inconsistent judgments from the same facts, the same law, and circumstances. In one breath, the judges will say you are qualified to run. In another breath, they say you are not qualified to run. Look at what happened in Plateau State. Look at what happened in Imo State. Look at even what happened in Zamfara. So who will now have confidence in judiciary again in this country? Who? No.
Let's come back to the studio.
All right. Yabagi, Sani, I think we'll get back to Kalu. We need to stay on the question and we need to stay on the issues. I've not been able to get a sense of, because when you spoke, before I come back to Yabagi, Sani, quickly here, the report of the EU on INEC didn't quite indict INEC. We saw that report, and some of the key things that the EU spoke about, if you follow that, we're not even about INEC. We're not things that fall within the purview of INEC. If you talk about voter intimidation, I'm happy that Yabagi Sani is here, but I'll put this to you before I come back to Yabagi Sani. Some of these issues that were laid bare on the day were not within INEC's jurisdiction. Kalu.
No, probably you didn't. You didn't read the EU report properly. Even APC as a party attacked EU for that report. Go back to that report and read it properly. It's on their website. Even PDP even pleaded.
Kalu, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Good. I want you to specifically, if you can tell us 2 or 3 of those that fall within the purview of INEC, let's be sure that you have that report.
Okay. EU specifically stated in its report that there were malpractices in that election. So who caused those malpractices? You and I, or the electoral umpire?
Okay,
that the 2023 general election fell short of the electoral guidelines. It's there.
Right, so let's bring it back to the studio here with IPAC chairman. So
but before that, we need to. Sorry, before that, we need to clarify this. That's what those were not within the purview of INEC. Issues of security were actually laid, and Yabagi Sani and so many other political parties were speaking to EU on that day that these things were not properly highlighted. You don't bring security issues and voter intimidation and some other issues within the electoral umpire. I think, Ngozi, I'll let you go with this.
Fantastic. So there are calls for constitutional and electoral reforms. Before the 2023 elections, there was the electoral reforms 2022 that was supposed to be the, the solution to our electoral, misfortunes. But alas, here we are. There's still those challenges. But how much difference really do you think constitutional reforms, electoral reforms would make going forward? And what kind of reforms specifically would you like to see that will improve the next cycle of elections?
That's for okay.
Yes.
Well, I believe, you see, if you take a look at the Electoral Act 2022, there's a big gap that was left, and that is why we are having this, crisis all over the place. What is the gap? There's a saying that it's not those who cast the vote that determine the winner, but those who count the vote. And then area of counting was left out of the digitalization of the process. The only area that was captured was the area of accreditation, meaning that you can't vote more than once, anymore, because of the introducing of the beavers. But the unfortunate thing is that the collation of the votes is still left in the hands of the INEC staff. That is manual. That was not covered by the digitalization and the innovation that INEC has introduced. And that is the node, or that is in the value chain of the election process. That is the key area. Who has it? Who tells you how much this person has scored, in terms of the votes? Right. So if you don't take care of that, nodes, that stage of the election, then you have done nothing, really. That's what it has proved now. That's why we're having the problems we're having.
Great. In 30 seconds, achieving a virile opposition, that seems to be the bottom line here.
Yes.
How do you ensure that there's that opposition that will make sure there's no one-party state emerging?
No, there will be no one-party state emerging if we get the electoral process, correctly, arranged. But today, what you have, like I said, is a system, is a process that itself is not so clear. It is not watertight. As it's supposed to be. Believe you me, if we get the area of collation properly, organized and then digitalized, that you can have a recourse, and let it be that you don't work with the manual system. You can have the manual if you like, but let's work with the digital system. Results that you get by adding. The simplest thing the computer can do for you is add addition. It's not anything so difficult. So I believe It is the case of your votes not counting. That's why we are talking about having a one-party state.
Right.
You know, if our votes could count, there would be no reason for one-party state.
All right, votes must count.
Votes must
Yabagi
count.
Sani, Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council. IPAC, thank you so much for joining us. And Kalu is a legal practitioner. Thank you also for joining us on News Night.